Miserable, masterminding monarch. Pitiful and pitied by no one, why have I come to the ignominy of this detestable old age, who is ruler of 2 kingdoms, mother of 2 kings? My guts are torn from me. My family is carried off and removed from me. In all things, the Lord has turned cruel to me and attacked me with the harshness of his hand. Truly, his wrath battles against me. What a heart-wrenching sentence. It is hard to believe that these words come from the most powerful and wealthy female of the Middle Ages. For Eleanor of Aquitaine, who was queen of 2 different kingdoms in her lifetime, being so powerful only resulted in misery for herself, her family, and occasionally her kingdom. During this period of history, women, who were valued mainly as child producers, rarely possessed property or governing authority. Uniquely, 15-year-old Eleanor owned more land than the King of France, to whose son she was betrothed against her will. While she was French queen and later English queen, Eleanor of Aquitaine perpetually strove for wealth and political influence. Despite spending her life amassing power, land, and honor to herself and her children, she was never truly happy or content with what she had acquired. When Eleanor was 15 years old, her father, owner of the entire Aquitaine region of France, died. Because she was left under the custody of the French king, Eleanor soon found herself married to the crown prince, Louis VII. Enlarging her windows and hiring troubadours livened up Eleanor's new castle with her Aquitanian culture. Eleanor was more popular with the people than Louis, but the newly crowned husband, although smitten by his beautiful wife, was worried that she had not produced a male heir. Eleanor and her entourage accompanied Louis VII on the Second Crusade. Typically, ladies would not have embarked on a holy quest. For a queen to go on a crusade was unheard of. Unfortunately, disaster struck on a mountain pass when the company was attacked by enemy raiders. Many soldiers of the company blamed Eleanor for this setback because the day before, she had impatiently left the main group to speed ahead with her knights. After several brushes with death during the dangerous journey to and from the Holy Land, conflicts increased between Eleanor and Louis. She had still only produced 2 young princesses instead of a prince who can inherit their extensive land when they died. Eventually, Eleanor convinced the religious leaders of France to annul their marriage. Eleanor's French rule ended abruptly. Weeks later, Eleanor married 19-year-old Henry of Normandy, who was the oldest and wealthiest son of the Plantagenets. Since Henry was Louis's political rival, the king was horrified. Henry, who traveled from castle to castle year-round, busied himself with modernizing the government to enhance justice and order. Eleanor had 8 children with Henry. Although Henry showered his children with gifts, he only used them as pawns to increase his empire and alliances. Unsurprisingly, Henry's power-hungry political progress soon won him the English crown. Eleanor became Queen of England. Because Eleanor had so many children, she knew there might be disputes regarding the inheritance of her wealth. One day, she heard of a shadowy prophecy. The English queen will rejoice in her third nesting. Thinking this applied to her, Eleanor decided to give her third and favorite son, Richard, the land of Aquitaine and Poitiers. I think that's how you spell it. This land encompasses most of modern-day France. Near the same time, Eleanor started heavily disagreeing with some of Henry's decisions, which drove a wedge into their marriage and a bombshell into the stability of Eleanor's life. Eleanor's children were angry at their father because the domineering king was only willing to give them control over their lands after his death. Eleanor sided with her children. Questioning Henry's motives and devising a clever plot, the children and their mother planned a rebellion. They joined forces with King Louis VII and fought fierce Henry. During the conflict, which lasted all summer, Eleanor once even disguised herself as a knight and tried escaping. Unfortunately, she was captured and held in prison until Henry died. When Henry died of a fever, Richard was crowned king and Eleanor was released from jail. Eleanor's sons finally got their inheritance, and Eleanor spent the rest of her life helping them maintain the large empire she helped them build. In conclusion, Eleanor's first husband was a bad match because it was arranged by the couple's land-thirsty parents, even though Louis's personality was decidedly different from Eleanor's. Their lack of a male heir eventually led to a divorce. For in that era, Eleanor's lands would go automatically to her son. 2.5 years later, she found herself married to the King of England. She enjoyed this time period because while Henry was doing kingly duties, which usually consisted of traveling, she governed his massive stretch of lands. Having this political power was not possible when she was married to Louis. In her later years, Eleanor spent all her energy amassing land and power to her children. Power struggles defined her life, which makes her an attractive character in history, but not a very good role model. Interestingly, Eleanor ended up being the most powerful female in the Middle Ages, but also one of the most miserable. Although the most important war in the universe is a power struggle between God and Satan, power can only make an unworthy ruler miserable. Eleanor died a miserable monarch.